YouTube, what's up? Back again for another daily fishing video here on Andrew Upshaw Fishing. I hope y'all enjoyed yesterday's video talking about why I believe anglers are overthinking the sport of bass fishing. You know, there's a lot of great techniques out there, and it seems like every day there's a new way to rig a worm or to retrieve a crankbait. But the deal is, and this is especially for all you young anglers out there, if I could give you any advice, stop worrying about trying to figure out the new trend and start worrying about how to master certain techniques. If you look in the last 5 years of ways to have caught a bass or to win a tournament, and this is for aspiring tournament anglers, if you look at the ways that people have won tournaments, it is with staple rigs, whether it's a deep diving crankbait, a vibrating jig, flipping heavy grass, whatever it may be. These are the ways that win tournaments. Focus more on those particular techniques. Don't just learn them, master them. Know every little intricate detail. This will help you in the long run. I promise you guys, if you want to be a good tournament angler, stop worrying about fishing outside the box and start figuring out how to master techniques. That is going to make you way more money. You're going to win more tournaments if you figure that out. I promise you, I've seen it day in and day out. If you figure it out, you will do better. But if you haven't checked out that particular video, you definitely need to go check it out. Today's video, though, we're talking part 2 of the Great Divide, between Major League Fishing and Bassmaster. The first part of that talked about the Bass Pro Tour and the Bassmaster Elite Series and how I believe they're both screwing up, scheduling on top of each other and amongst other things. If you haven't watched that one, you definitely should go check it out, just so you kind of see exactly where we're going with this particular series. This series is only a 2-part series. I'm not going to make a bunch of videos on this, so it's just where we're at. I'm not going to beat the dead horse. But there's a few things that need to be brought to light that nobody really wants to talk about. One thing that I talk about on this channel is I talk about the hard stuff that nobody really wants to discuss, and that's just the direction I go. The first part of this particular video, we're going to talk Pro Circuit, Toyota Series, Bass Open, really dive in hard to those. The second part, though, we're going to be talking college fishing, and I have a college national champion coming on to actually discuss a little bit of what's going on and what's messed up in the college aspect of things. We talk about this from a standpoint as we want to grow the sport. We want to grow it from the younger kids all the way to the pro level and help build a big system to where these anglers have places to go. But, when I started in college fishing, it was one thing, and it is a completely different animal now. And so I had to bring somebody on to talk about it because I think it's absolutely necessary. So let's dive on into this. I don't want to spend too much time on any particular topic to bore you to death. Let's talk Pro Circuit first. Let's talk Pro Circuit Bass Open. So when it comes to, I get all this, everybody says, this is the highest level trail, Bass Pro Tour, Bass Elite. That's the top tier, okay? The next tier on each level is Pro Circuit on the Major League Fishing side of things and the Bass Opens on the other. Now, would you consider both of them AAA trails? Well, the Pro Circuit is now the qualifying method of getting to the Bass Pro Tour, which is their highest level trail. And in my opinion, the Pro Circuit is now a AAA level trail, even though they're paying a $6,000, almost $6,000 entry fee. And we're going to dive into that a little bit too. But they're paying a $6,000 entry fee to be a AAA level trail. Now you also have the Bass Opens AAA level trail. The Toyota Series, I would say, was like a AA trail. And I'm using baseball references here because I don't know any other way to actually level this out. But AA for the Toyota Series. So it's actually a step lower because you actually have to qualify twice to get up to the highest level trail. There's a lot going on over there right now. It's hard to keep up with. It's even hard to keep up with from my standpoint, and I love bass fishing. And then you drop down to the BFLs. Bass does not offer that option. They do have the Federation, the Bass Nation stuff, which is a very great option. Matt Pangrac actually fishes a lot of those. Very low money, very low winning, but you do have a chance to make it to the Classic, which is a huge thing. But let's dive on into the Pro Circuit. I still have a bunch of buddies that fish over at the Pro Circuit, and I actually was stopped at Smith Lake by one of those buddies talking about how they raised entry fees again for the Pro Circuit. Now, everybody knows the reason I left FLW after the merger and all that stuff. But one of the main reasons I left was the fact that in the trend, it was a trend from when I started professional fishing in 2012 to when I left in 2019, or the end of 2019. In that 7-year span, entry fees just kept increasing every year, but the payouts didn't. And that is a bad trend. You know, we talk about we want to get to a point where anglers aren't paying entry fees, especially at the highest level trail. But in this case, we're actually paying more every year, and we're not winning any additional money. Like, literally, what we are getting paid back right now is the exact same what we were getting paid back then. Actually, I think it may have been a little bit better. So the pro circuit's entry fees have continued to rise, and the payout has continued to stay the same, stay stagnant. And this hasn't changed with Major League Fishing. They've had 2 years now, and it hasn't changed. It's actually gotten worse. The other thing I want to point out, and this is a big deal, like the title championship, what they call the title champion for the pro circuit. So that's like the Forestwood Cup. $200,000 for first place. And if you drive a Phoenix, you get a $35,000 bonus. So $235,000 if you make the title championship. You want to know what the Toyota Series championship is? The exact same, literally, as far as first place. Now, it levels out once you get past 11th place, going on down to however they paid top 50 or whatever. But first place is still over $200,000. I'm literally looking at it right here. That is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous amount of money for a championship for a AA trail. So all that money they put into that, if they put it into the pro circuit, like, the actual money would be ridiculously good. I understand, you know, when Major League Fishing bought FLW, they took on the Toyota Series. Actually, at the time, I think it was the Costa Series. It's changed names a few times. But they were actually having a hard time filling fields, and it was because they made all these different trails and all that stuff, and they dropped it to 3 tournaments, and there was a lot of changes going on there that really hurt the numbers. Well, now they boosted the numbers because they made this championship so great. Now, this is one of the biggest things I want to talk about with Major League Fishing, and I'm going to jump to bass, and believe me, they're not innocent in this at all. I'm going to talk about one thing about Major League Fishing that I believe is a massive, massive issue, and it is hurting anglers. And like I said before, I am an advocate for anglers. I don't care if they're on Major League Fishing. I don't care if they're on bass. I don't care if they're on National Professional Trail. I am an advocate for anglers, and anglers, you know, in supporting them and trying to help them the very best that I can. If you look at Major League Fishing, they have the Bass Pro Tour. They have their Cup qualifying events. Then they have the Pro Circuit, Toyota Series, so on and so forth. So they have one website. Now, they have landing pages on each website and all this stuff. They have one website, though. They have, I don't even know how many Bass Pro Tour anglers now, 85 or 90 or 83, whatever it is. It's around in that range, between 80 and 90 Bass Pro Tour anglers. And this is part of the reason I even started YouTube to begin with. When it comes to promoting your anglers, when it comes to promoting the series, and you only have one website, and you only have one way to promote, which is through your website. You can use social media, TikTok, whatever it may be. You can use all these different avenues, but at the end of the day, they have one landing site. 90% of your material is going to come from your upper level trail, which is going to be the Bass Pro Tour. Well, then you have the Pro Circuit. The Pro Circuit at one point was a highest level trail in FLW. Okay, well, now it's not. But the entry fees haven't changed. The entry fees are still $6,000. So a sponsor is going to go to these Pro Circuit anglers and say, okay, well, you're not really like the big trail anymore. The Bass Pro Tour is the big trail. Why should we be paying you if 90% of the coverage is going to go to the Bass Pro Tour angler? How am I going to justify sponsoring an angler who is not going to get as much TV time and not going to get as promoted as much as these other anglers on the exact same company's trail? Do they do the best they can with what they got? Sure. I absolutely think so. You know, they have a good group of people that work, but the magazine's out. The magazine is nothing but Bass Pro Tour guys anymore. And there's no physical way that they can promote these anglers and get them the amount of time that they need to justify a sponsor payment of $30,000. to help them cover these entry fees, because the entry fees are outrageous right now, and they're not going to win enough money to justify just paying it all out of pocket. So there's a big misconception here where there's a lot of, I think you're going to start seeing a big turnover on the pro circuit, especially for next year. I think you're going to see a lot of new people and a lot of people that used to be there that aren't there anymore. And then you throw on the fact that on the pro circuit, they allowed Bass Pro Tour guys to come fish it and re-qualify for the Bass Pro Tour to knock down notches, when per the rules, the pro circuit was they were supposed to take 10 pro circuit anglers, 10 new people, and bring them in. So there was a lot of mess up there, and a lot of pro circuit anglers got really upset about that, because the way it should have been is all 5 of those guys that are 6 guys that qualified through the Bass Pro Tour should have been double qualifiers. So therefore, it should have gone down the list. Guys like Dakota Ebear, Jim Tutt should have made it into the Bass Pro Tour, or at least got invited. But that's not what happened. They allowed these double qualifiers even though it wasn't written in the rules. That is one of my biggest hangups when it comes to Major League Fishing, is there is a lot of stuff like that going on, and it doesn't get talked about. And it's not right. It's not right for those guys that are paying $30,000 a year to go fish a trail when, the same money that we were winning in 2012 and paying way more, paying almost $2,000 more than we were paying in 2012, and winning the exact same amount of money per tournament. $2,000 more per tournament than we were paying in 2012. That's a problem. Now, let's jump off of the Major League Fishing wagon for a minute. Let's go to the bass side. The bass side of things, the Bass Opens, which is now the AAA trail that qualifies to the Classic. One of my biggest hangups there is the fact that for the last 2 years, they have allowed an overall qualifier. A couple of them, 3, I think. Or actually, last year it was 4. This year it was 3. And because they actually added a division, they'd taken the Northerns out and then they added them back in this past season. They take 12 people, okay? Now they allow up to 225 anglers into the Opens. The overall, this year it took 3 guys, okay? I finished 8th. Great, whatever. One of my biggest hangups here, and I was told that this might have changed, but I can't find it anywhere in the rules for 2022. One of my biggest hangups here is they kind of punish the overall winner. So they actually take the overall first. So those 3 guys, they qualify first, and then they double qualify through each division. So the way it should be is if I make it in a division, it should take it down 1 notch in the overall. So if, let's say, for instance, Jacob Rosnick won the overall, and he also won the points in the Central Division. And I'm just saying hypothetical. If he won it in the Central Division, it should only count in the Central Division and then take it from the overall, because the guys that are going to all 9 Opens are spending enormously more money. They're supporting bass to the fullest, and they're putting it all out there to try to make it. I feel like those should be the ones that get awarded here instead of, being the ones that are taking it away from. That's just my opinion. And I think that most of the guys that fish in the overall understand that, because they know how much money they've spent this year. They've known how much money they've spent the last 2 years trying to make it to the Elite Series, which I'm just going to tell you guys, I had a pretty good year this year. I had a few missed opportunities, but overall, not a bad season. Finished 8th, and I was still over 150 points back from making it. So I would have had to have finished way better in a couple other tournaments just to have had a chance to make the top 3. You have to have the most perfect season to make it. And I'm not complaining about that. That's just where we're at. That's just a fact of the matter. But what I will say is we talk a lot about payouts. And when it comes to anglers and how much we're paying in and all this stuff, do you know that the payouts for the Opens have not changed in forever? Forever. Entry fees have gone up to $1,800, and right now they pay 40 places. Doesn't matter if there's, 180 or I think there is a number to where they won't pay quite 40, but at a 225 boat field they pay 40 places. That's it. They raise up the money a little bit, But I mean, getting a check, I got 5 of 9 checks this year, or 6. I don't know, 5 or 6 of 9, and I don't even know if I covered my entry fees. Maybe I might have covered my entry fees. I mean, that's not very much. What I'm saying, there is an investment aspect of this where I'm trying to invest to try to make it to the elites, but at the end of the day, it's not a feasible option if you're going out there trying to make money. And I would have loved to have said the pro circuit would have been that feasible option, but it's not even a feasible option right now. When it comes to making money in bass fishing, there is not a feasible option below the below the elites and Bass Pro Tour. There's just not right now. The Toyota Series has the best payout as far as a trail of that magnitude, but it definitely isn't at the same level. These are some things that all these anglers talk about behind the scenes, but we hardly ever talk about it in person. We never talk about it to where others can hear us. But these are issues that we're all dealing with, and it's an issue that has continued over time. Now, on this channel, y'all seen me complain, and it's not really complaining, but it's complaining about a few things that are going on that I think we should fix. But at the end of the day, these organizations aren't going to fix them unless we say something about it. And even then, they probably won't fix them. But if enough of us say something about it, if enough of us bring it to light and say, hey, this is an issue, we are their customers, per se. The anglers are their customers. BFL anglers, Toyota anglers, Open anglers, Pro Circuit anglers. We are their customer, and we're allowing them to do this stuff. And the more we sign up, the more we fish, the more this is going to happen. There's no doubt about it. So let's just go and break into the college segment. I appreciate all of you listening to this, and I hope y'all enjoyed this next segment right after this. All right, guys, welcome back. Right now, I have a very special guest for the second part of part 2. That's Hayden Scott. Hayden Scott is the reigning national championship champion from Adrian College. Won the 2021 Bassmaster National Championship. This was an accomplishment that my partner and I were also able to accomplish back in 2011, where we won the Bassmaster National Championship as well. So, Hayden, thank you for coming on. This is a big, important topic, not only for the professional ranks, the Opens, Toyota Series, Pro Circuit, and all those, but also the college ranks. In my opinion, I feel like the college guys kind of get the brunt of this more so than most. Can you explain a little bit on your take? And to preface this, guys, Hayden made a post. I don't know how long ago, maybe a week ago, or within a week,
days, yeah.
and another college angler actually messaged me with the link to his post and said, "Hey, take a look at this. What do you think about this?" And it actually kind of sparked a lot of this whole video series. So Hayden, thank you so much for bringing light to a few things. There's already some things I was already thinking about, but having a platform like I have now, it actually makes it easier to be able to talk about things. So Hayden, the floor is yours. Talk a little bit about college fishing and what is going on with the scheduling aspect of things.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew, for letting me get on here and giving me the platform to voice my opinion about all the issues that are going on. Just about less than a week ago, I made a post and I got word of the schedule that was coming out. And for the third year in a row, we've had scheduling conflicts with the Major League Fishing College National Championship and other just regular series events through Bass. And it's a really frustrating issue on the standpoint of us college anglers because we have to pick and choose where we can compete at and where we can't compete at. And at this level where we're trying to make that jump, we're trying to build a brand for ourselves that gives us the opportunity to reach out to those sponsors. And it's really frustrating because any of these events could be that breakout moment and that breakout tournament for us. So when you have a national championship, I know how much light and how much sponsors and how many people gravitate towards that. And there's so many eyes. So whoever wins that event, there's so much that goes into it. And that's why I'm not the type of person to come out, start controversy and make a post like I did. But it was one of those things that I was just sick and tired of sitting back and letting the course go where it may. And I was just frustrated. And I knew I was going to get backlash from a lot of people. But what was crazy is the overwhelming support that I got from making that post, just bringing light to the situation of we shouldn't have to pick and choose which tournaments we can and cannot go to. And I want to say I had 90 some reshares on Instagram alone from other college anglers putting on their stories and high school anglers. And it just showed me how big of a thing is going on and how many people are just over this. And there's a lot of people that reached out to me and just was like, thank you for bringing light to this attention. And hopefully this will change in the future to come. And the big thing is, I just hope that both organizations can work alongside each other and coincide and just make it they don't have to work together, but just make a schedule where we can fish both organizations and let us choose which tournaments we want to go to. And that's pretty much like all I can say as far as that goes. I was fortunate enough to talk to different people within both organizations as far as what we could do moving forward to make this work. And I really heard both sides of it, which was a great thing. And I hope in years to come that we can make it so we don't have to deal with this issue again. But it's a difficult time in the sport, and hopefully just having you bring light to this attention, and as far as a lot of other people doing it also, that we can see a change here in the future.
Yeah, and that's kind of part of this whole deal, guys, is to Hayden's point, this isn't a like we're feeling sorry for ourselves, we're like, upset, we're not getting our way. And this isn't crying and whining. This is the deal is these college anglers have very little opportunity to fish college tournaments. So, I
Mhm.
know some particular college anglers that their university is really big. They have a lot of anglers, and they might only get to fish 1 to 2 college events the entire year. And
Yeah.
so having that opportunity to go fish these events is great. And I grew up through the college ranks. I had that breakout moment when my partner and I we were able to fish and compete at an extremely high level. And I want to see all anglers. And the I actually had a comment on my first video that I did talking about this isn't just happening on the pro level. This isn't happening on the opens, the college. This is also happening at the local level. The refusal to work together. Now, I understand we only have 52 weeks in the year, and there's going to be some scheduling overlap. Absolutely, completely understand, no question about it. And the other thing that an organization like MLF, Bassmaster, and all these are going to run into is the fact that there's only so many weekends that they have staff that's able to work these particular events as well. So as it falls down the ladder, you've got the elites and Bass Pro Tour, and then everything kind of takes different rungs down the ladder. So at the end of the day, the unfortunate side effect is the college guys kind of take the brunt of all of it. They're going to get the last in the scheduling. They're going to get the last in pretty much everything. The deal is, and I've said it for years, if you look at like what I was talking about earlier with the Bass Open schedule, we have 3 events in April. If you look at all 9 tournaments, we have 3 events in April. There's not a single one in May. There's not a single one in June. They come back in July. So you mean to tell me that we can't figure out a way to put a tournament in May or June? But instead we're going to put 3 in October or September, October. Like if we're going to play 12 months out of the year, let's play 12 months out of the year. These college guys, they can go fish in December. They can go fish in November. There's a lot of months here that we aren't scheduling tournaments that we could be scheduling tournaments to make it easier for these anglers to be able to go to these events. Because like Hayden's point, he needs that opportunity to try to make the next level if that's what he wants to do. And forgiving these schedules, like if we could figure out a way to mesh MLF, mesh Bassmaster, we can figure out a way we can work together. We don't have to like share all our secrets. We don't have to share weekends.
Exactly.
But if one releases a schedule and there's a massive conflict on a national championship and another qualifying event, or maybe 2 national championships, whatever it may be, let's figure out a way to work around that. Let's maybe move it a few days or move it this way. I don't know what the exact right answer is, but the more we talk about it, the better this is going to get. Hayden, any final thoughts on what you're thinking on the college stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's the big thing. What a lot of people see by this is, yeah, like you said, people think that we're just complaining that we can't fish as many tournaments. But in the grand scheme of things, people like myself, we have 4 years to build our brand and we have 4 years to fish as many tournaments as possible while we pay little to no entry fees, which is huge for us.
Yeah.
So the more opportunities we get in those 4 years, if I don't make the most out of it and get as much as I can from these 4 years, who knows if I'll be able to compete at the next level sooner on? Because if I don't have that financial backing coming out of college, there's no way that I'm going to be able to make that jump. And I know a lot of other anglers are struggling with it too. So that's why this is such an important topic to bring light to, because of those issues that we're facing trying to make that jump. And we have all these tournaments in such a short period of time that we're not even talking about trying to make it to class and getting a good GPA so we can graduate on time. Like, that's a different issue in itself. So if we could just expand that schedule, move it a little bit into the summer where we have more time to travel, that would be huge. I know there's a lot of things behind the scenes as far as the organizations have with planning and money and chambers of commerce and all that stuff goes. So I'm not going to speak as far as organizations on that point, but if we can talk about this and spread light to this issue, I feel like the better chances that we see things moving forward in the right direction and the sport will grow and prosper because of it. So anything like what you're doing with this series is a huge thing. And thank you for
Yeah.
letting me get on here and voice my opinion about this issue and giving me
Yeah.
this platform to speak on.
Yeah, not a problem, man. The deal is I'm all about all anglers. I get a lot of comments as far as guys saying, "Oh, well, you're biased. You're biased towards Bash. You hate MLF." At the end of the day, guys, I'm gonna fight for anglers' rights. I'm gonna fight to help anglers better themselves and to better the sport. Because at the end of the day, without anglers, without the amount of money that anglers invest into the sport doesn't exist. I mean, truly, the actual sport aspect of it. Now, does fishing exist? Sure. There's going to be the guy that goes to the pond and drops his minnow in the water and catches his fish, no problem. But the sport of bass fishing, where it is a tournament aspect, the anglers are the lifeblood of this sport. And if the anglers aren't able to fish tournaments, if the anglers aren't able to show up or watch the events or do whatever they have to do, it makes it really difficult. And a lot of times it's just a little bit of bad blood between organizations, whether it's them or the local organizations that can't get along, can't seem to get along. But Hayden, I really do appreciate you coming on, voicing your opinion, and kind of shedding some light on the college situation. I hope you're able to get to class and get that GPA going good and go win you another national championship, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
All right, we'll see you, buddy.